We're in.
We're in. Now
Kirk.
what?
Well, now what indeed? I want to show you something on my phone.
Okay.
Just a second. Got to make sure a few of these tabs get closed out. Boom.
I can't read it.
That's all right. That is a bullet list with 3 items, 5 total words on there, and that is called preparation.
This is more prep than you've done in a year. Is this a resolution of yours?
Honestly, I'm exhausted.
It looked like, I think 5 total words. Is that your notes app? Is that a to-do list today?
Yeah, I live in my notes app, and we have one for today. Because today, Kirk, DeWindt
Mm-hmm.
is a goal-setting session.
Hey.
We talk a lot of free flow on the podcast. And occasionally, when I meet up with people in real life, most often it's for a run, but people don't actually know what we want for our fitness in our season. They know when a race pops up, you start talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
They know like your general idea of I want to break 15 in a 5K or run whatever in a half marathon or a marathon. Lisa, it's 11:11. But they don't know like what our yearly outlook is. I haven't had a yearly outlook that had a number or a name attached to it in a long time. And all we do with the athletes we work with is start writing out A goals, B goals, C goals, and what the process is for getting there in general fitness goals. And we never talk, I shouldn't say never, but we rarely talk specifics in our big picture approach to our own training, which I think sometimes comes off as we are flying by the seat of our pants with our own training, which has some validity to it. But in terms of like, what is the heading that like you do a lot of feel it out based training. I need a blank today, so here's what I'm going to do. But what is the heading that all falls underneath? Like what column is that in? I think that's important for people to know that there are columns. It's not like you're just willy-nilly picking things. And so I want to have a goal setting session with you today on this episode to kick off 2025.
I like it. I assume this is something you've done some thinking on about yourself and thus brought to light. The fact we should chat this out.
A little, yeah. It's more been like building for 3 months as I'm thinking about being healthy again. But it's more that it's probably like a dozen of these I've done with other people in the last 3 weeks. And it's time that we kind of talk our way through our own process here.
Yeah. So have you thought far ahead with specifics for yourself? Is this something that your list would entail?
As Michael Scott would say, general specifics. But there are specific things. Yes, I'm at the point where in my process, which you well know, I say I'm not thinking about things. I'm not committing to things because once I do, then I shortcut the process and I get hurt. But I can't help but daydream every single time I'm training. So I'm just going to be a man, put some words out into the universe, fight my every urge to not say these things. And the things that I'm dreaming about doing, I'm going to speak into reality.
Okay. So should we start with generalizations? A big picture? Do we want to go 10,000 foot, zoom in, or do we want to just start task list in this thing?
Well, I have 3 bullet points, Kirk.
Okay. Well, since you're so prepared, why don't you
The bullet points are race goals, fitness goals, and process.
Okay.
So I think the process probably comes last.
Yeah. And
So
but it is the most important. That is the year.
True. But you have to know what dish you want to make before you start slopping ingredients together.
100%.
So do you want to talk about the type of dish you want to make, or do you want to talk about some specific showstoppers? Are we talking fitness goals first for the year, or are we talking race goals or goal
races? Funny because some people would think those are the same.
Yeah,
like
how
are they? No, they're not really at all. One comes in front of the other. Fitness precedes achieving race goals, but fitness is not race specific goal work.
Right.
So I think it is a tiered process. Racing is the end. I think we start there, then we drop down to fitness, and then we even get more detailed with the process.
Okay.
That's what I think. How's that sound?
I like it.
So, do you want me to start? Do you want to start?
I would, because you have actually signed up for things specifically.
I have. Yes,
I
have.
So I think that's a good safe place for us to start.
Okay. Um, and by the way, the reason we're doing this, guys, is hopefully it can help you self-reflect a bit. Not self-reflect, but self-project maybe. Of course, reflection is important there, but like starting to think forward. I don't know about you, but in the last week or two, my inbox is now starting to be flooded with athletes' racing schedules. And you're starting to, as a coach, start to think, okay, how do I puppeteer this to make it all happen?
Mhm,
And when do we hold back and when do we press and when do we overreach and how do we, like, we're just starting to think that way for our athletes. And oftentimes in this time of year, I will send an athlete a training block or I'll create my own, like, what am I going to be doing this next month? And helping somebody understand why are we not going for 3-hour long runs now, even though you have an ultra on your calendar, and then getting there through process. It's important to understand where you're headed now, I think, is what I'm getting at.
mhm.
So it's been top of mind for a lot of people, and if you haven't thought about it already, that's okay, but at some point I think direction is necessary. um, are you getting that with your athletes a good bit now? Like the race calendars are coming over,
Yeah,
the A goals have been highlighted, right? You're starting to be like, okay, here's how the flow of our year is going to go.
yeah. In fact,
Okay.
we get done with this, and I get on a call with good friend of the show, Ian Floyd, who just sent over this weekend a screenshot of his next ultra that he is signed up for, didn't get into
Mhm.
one, got into this one, and now we're getting on a call to plan the attack. This is what the season is right
This
now.
is all right. So, with that in mind, hopefully you're doing some of this yourselves, and we're using ourselves as examples. Is that fair to
Yes.
say? Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
But also because people are always asking, "What are you training for? Are you racing? What's
mhm.
next? Will I see you blank?" We're gonna give a little bit of idea of how we're thinking about our 2025.
It drives me nuts. I'm going to turn this into a positive when you get somebody you're working with and it's 30 races and it's 6 back-to-back racing weekends and the people already have flights booked and hotels and Airbnb booked and it's in stone. We're not switching their minds, right?
Mhm.
And they're racing a ton, but they're planned and they have the schedule out and they know what they're doing. I would argue that you and I are actually on the very lax side of things with this. Like, we don't have years generally planned out. I don't have Airbnbs booked. I don't have flights booked. I don't even have registrations for things I plan on running yet. So I would just say, just through the lens of like, we are probably not the plan out the whole year and get everything booked out of the gates. With that said, I think I need to be more like the athlete that we roll our eyes at with all the things on the calendar. Because as I've learned over the years, I seem to race less and less. I strike purposefully, but I think I could stand to race more. So, big pictures, I am hoping a goal of mine is to toe more start lines, maybe even twice as many start lines as I did in 2024. So I'm going to start as big as that. Goal one is to put myself in position more to
Yeah.
have race experiences and succeed. So that's my first thing I want to work on this year.
Well, I agree with that. And you're in a place where you don't have to build much base, which means you can sign up for things right now and get to work on them.
Yeah.
So it's safe,
Do you
I
agree with
think.
that? I mean, you have a very objective lens. We know each other as well as anybody in this space. Do you agree that I could race more? Could stand to race more?
Yeah. Yeah. You've spent the last few years trying to thread the needle of like 3 to 4 races per year.
Right.
And then if things pop up, they pop up. But there's something to be said for a calendar that is. This is what it is. Okay, it kind of takes the distractions away. It's like, let's just make it work. I know I have to be in this shape by April, and
Right.
we always used to complain about the Spartan race schedule being all year round. It was like a 10-month season, but
Mhm.
it was really simple. I need to be ready to race 60 minutes by February, maybe 35 to 60 minutes of hard racing with transition by February, and by May, I have to be mountain ready for
Yeah.
3 hours. And it may not be the season we would have created for ourselves, but it was clarifying. And once there's clarity, then you just build a roadmap and do it.
There's something freeing about being constricted to a schedule, which sounds like an ironic thing to say, but it's true, right? I
Yeah.
knew we had 5 US National Series races done, 1 or 2 tune-up races just because I didn't wanna have to go bust rust in the first of the year. Then you have a regional champ and a world champ, and there's 7 to 8 races right away, a few fillers in between. There is something freeing, like discipline sets you free. Sometimes just committing to the schedule sort of sets you free, I think, and so I'd like to work on that. Um, do you want me to list off mine, or do we wanna go back and forth here?
Yeah, yeah, start with the A race. If I only did one thing this calendar year or 2, because I think
Okay.
2 is fine.
Well, my
2
my
is
one other
go ahead.
well, 2 is fine. My one other big picture before getting to the races is, I'm in the 50 to 55 mile a week range. I ran 55 last week,
Nice.
in 5 days. I would really like to be a 60 plus mile a week runner, whether that means adding in an additional day or just bigger long runs as marathon approaches that'll get me there. But I want to be a 60-mile a week runner. I haven't done that in years. I looked back and Strava tells me I averaged almost 50 miles a week this last year. I was just 50, 50, 50, 50,
Mhm.
right? And I think I could stand to add a little more volume. So finding ways to get that in as long as I stay healthy. So the bigger pictures are race more and just uptick my volume slightly. With that in mind, the highlight point for me, first of all, is Grandma's Marathon in June. That is late June. It's actually is we are runners through and through. I've run the marathon distance or further plenty of times. I've never raced one on the roads, and so my still a race. Although we've had a lot of talk about going sub 15 in the 5K, first highlight point for me is gonna be Grandma's in June. So all roads lead there first.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if you had a second A goal of the year, what would that be?
And that's where I'm struggling because I don't have like the race, but it would be chip away at the chip, make an honest shot at the 5K. And what that looks like could mean jumping in a bunch of local road races on USATF certified courses. It could be traveling to track races, but towing multiple 5K start lines. I towed one last year and then acted disappointed ish when I didn't get my goal, like silly
Right.
me, right? So it's I don't know which the other A race goal will be, but it should be a peaking 5K race.
I like it.
So that would be the two big ones. And along the way will be my trail racing scene and working on lowering some of the records I had sent. If I can take chip away at a few of those, I would love to. So that those would be my 2025 race specific goals.
So what's the actual date of Grandma's?
Like June 22nd, June 26th, something like that. Somewhere there. I can look it up real quick. Why do you ask?
Oh, so you're looking at 6 months.
Yep. Let's call it 6.
So just over the halfway point of the year is your biggest goal race of the year.
Yep.
So when do you plan on getting specific for that? How does your build for that look? And is that impacted by if you have a spring 5K season happening?
June 21st, by the way.
Okay.
Um, this is going to be um, the thing is that I don't believe you can be I can't anyways be running marathon volume. Let's say I'm not going for 22-mile long runs next week, okay?
Yeah.
I firmly believe I need to hit the peak overreaching phase with volume and intensity roughly 6 weeks out from that, which means end of April, early May is going to be I'm going to build towards that, towards that, towards that. Try to sit in it for 3 to 5 weeks, meaning I'll be hitting 20 or 22-mile runs. I will be at high volume coupled with big quality sessions, and I'm going to work towards that. I may not run longer than 16-mile long runs until March, maybe. But I'm going to make wait. I'm going to hold back in that process. That is my plan. And part of that is if I do want to race some 5Ks, I don't want to be overloading with 20-mile long runs. I want to make sure the legs keep a little spring to them. So the plan is to ramp up very gradually until then. But people think they have a marathon on the calendar and I must now be running 70 miles a week all the way up until then. And what can happen is you can be injured, burnt, and I guess those are the two main things. And so I want to avoid that. So I don't even want to let myself go there until about March, April. Start really thinking about it.
Yeah.
How would
Well,
you approach it?
that is exactly how I would approach it
Yeah.
because when people don't hit their goal in a marathon, it's because of one of two things. Either they ran out of fitness in the second half, Or the statement is, "My blank really started acting up around mile 10
Right.
or 12," or whatever. It's they brought something with them to it, and they knew like, "Oh, if this thing just hangs in there," and then once they really fatigue or it starts to weigh on them, that's it.
And you know, this may sound ridiculous, um, but there is people have heard about it that have listened for years. There's a Zumbro 17-mile trail race in its early April, April 10th, let's say, about 10 weeks before the marathon. There is a chance I actually end up using that and taking a full down week and then having 9 weeks until marathon day because back to training because I find that when you're in a consistent training pattern and you have been for years, I can actually I could be better on marathon day if I race Zumbro hard, take a week down after and build for 9 weeks. I may be more available come marathon day than if I tried to press through.
I agree.
And so I may even take a full week off, 10 weeks out from the marathon. People be like, that's the dumbest. They're 9 weeks out. Like, why would you do that? I think that might be actually my best call. So I'm waffling with that lead in, but that is still TBD.
Runners tend to split hairs on the marathon training block more than any training block I've ever seen.
100%.
And yet it's one of the hardest races to even know what your precise pacing or output is, which means that splitting hairs is not necessary. Now, if you're trying to make the Olympic trials or the Olympic
Hmm.
team or a world majors podium, yeah, you're gonna have to split some hairs.
Hmm.
But for most people, hair splitting is only going to get in your own way. And so a week off keeps you available. It doesn't
I just
prevent
think
you from splitting some hair.
there are people who are going to have to work for years to be ready to go and run a good marathon because maybe they don't have as much money in the running bank that we do. We've been at it for decades. And I think some people would need a 6 month pure build all the way up to race day to nail it and have a chance. But if you've been fortunate enough to be healthy and been putting in purposeful training and volume for years and years and years, I'd err on the side of caution and have a
Yeah.
great big race on the trails, recover for a week, ramp back up, and hopefully time it again. 9 weeks is. I've had some of my best races 4 to 6 weeks after a week off.
Yeah, I
Right.
agree.
So that's the,
And
the plan.
and in terms of your build up to it, I also believe that the better the race build goes and the longer it is, the more likely someone is to overreach in the first half of the race.
Mm, true.
They just get too optimistic about what can happen. And that's human nature. That's what training is supposed to do is give you confidence, but some of the best marathons come when you get rolling later in the marathon. Not
Yeah.
when I mean, how many times do you hear the race report? "Oh, I was just on it from mile 1."
And then I
Like,
wasn't.
I was ahead of pace, and I was feeling great, and I just knew I could keep it the whole time, and I did. That is a very, 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 very unlikely race report.
Well, and you look at some of the mid distance or long distance track greats who have stepped, and I'm not calling myself that, don't get me wrong, but that have went up and tried the marathon. Safan Hassan, for example, and a handful of other the men, younger men now in their mid 20s jumping up, a lot of the Africans. Um, you look at that, even Connor Mann, so he's an exception, but um, they weren't running crazy mileage. And then they do one quick, maybe they hit a handful of long runs on top of their years and years of body of work. And they go out and they usually start conservative in their first marathon. They pound home. And I mean, like American records have been set that way. Uh, so it's just an interesting thing. If you have a body of work racing shorter distances and have done it for a consistent amount of time, you can jump up fairly reasonably with a condensed lead-in schedule,
Yeah.
and we've seen people do it.
And with that, the racing tactics are interesting, where if you look at all of the people who are setting these crazy times, they're not the ones leading still. And if you look at Eliud Kipchoge over the years, Eliud Kipchoge, his downfall happened when he was old for a runner, but it was also when he started leading early.
So true.
When you look at Rio or you look at any, like Berlin or Chicago, London, the things that he's really crushed, he made last 10K moves that were astronomically faster than anyone could do. But when he started leading marathons early, that was game over. And having that, what that comes from is the confidence of having done incredibly well at really long, tough things like the marathon for
Yep.
a long time. You start to forget why you did so well. And by not being a pro at that, your fear acts
Mm.
as your respect.
And your respect uh, comes forth as self restraint early,
Yeah.
which is a must even for a seasoned marathoner. And so you are absolutely right. It's interesting watching, not to go on a tangent with him, we'll move on, but even he's like one stepping the front pack in his recent marathons. It was so
Yeah.
interesting how he developed that confidence. Although I think when he put his shoes on, maybe he was kidding himself, but he thought, hey, I might be able to set the net. I might be able to break my own record. And he wanted to keep it on pace
Right.
at points, which was his downfall. But
Yeah.
so the
So
other
anyway,
thing,
just to
and
wrap that piece up, if I had to have two athletes in front of me, one who had built sequentially, hit good long quality workouts, a ton of the 15 to 18-mile workouts, or someone who look back and be like, I went over 20 miles 15 times in my build. There's nothing this distance can do to me. I'm taking the first athlete every time. I'd rather have them go in a little bit uncertain and fearful of the distance than come in not afraid of the distance and the intensity of the distance bites them. So I think you're going about it the right way.
yeah, thank you, and I think so too. And that doesn't mean I'm not going to do marathon sized quality sessions,
Right.
but then in quotes only go do 16-mile long run. I may go do 4 by 3 miles
Yep.
with some things like that in which are I'm all in. I'm just holding back on drawing out the distance of the long run more than anything, right?
Yeah.
Um, and we will get to you here next because I don't want to talk about myself too much. But what with the thing I have to this goal situation is I find myself wanting my cake and eating it too, and I don't even know what that phrase even means. By the way,
I
like yeah,
honestly I don't know.
like of course I'm going to eat the cake. It's my cake.
Yeah, it's not for show.
No,
Can't have your
anyways,
cake and eat it too.
that doesn't even make sense. But it's funny. Mike Stefanos from Obstacle Running Adventures sent me a video. They're in Europe traveling, and somebody threw bathwater out the window.
Nice.
And he said it was like some people were throwing water out the window in these narrow streets, and he's like, no babies yet." I thought that was funny because we've had many conversations about throwing babies out with
Mhm.
bathwater. But anyways, what I'm getting at is having my cake and eating it too. And this is where I think a trap a lot of athletes fall into. And this is like, I want to shake you, right? Like, what do you really care about, Kirk? The 5K and the marathon. Then why are you going to try to peak for a trail race that's 17 miles? And why are you going to go do these things that may detract from
Mhm.
what really matters? And so I still want to do those things because I enjoy it. It makes me happy, but is it the best route to performing in the things that I've told you matter more? And so I have to figure that out. And then I also need to figure out more specifically with the 5K. And I don't know if you have thoughts on that, like
Mhm.
how to approach that with the other things in the mix. So I gotta do some thinking there.
Yeah.
I don't have it figured out.
Well, we're not here to solve all that today, but I do think that we've talked about things in the past that support your goals. And like this will sound mean, but it's not. Like you're an aging athlete now, and the secret weapon of the aging athlete is speed work. And
Yep.
we've drummed that drum,
Could not agree
banged
more.
that drum. We have drilled home that point over and over. And so 5K paced work is good for a 40, 41, 42. I don't know how long you're going to go after this 5K goal, but it's good for you as a runner in general. And
100%.
so if you find a way to insert an amount of that into your training that still allows you to hit big workouts, it's only going to help both sides. So I do think it's less of a bad thing to go after than it might be for like a 20-year-old. Um, and I don't even know about that. But the other thing is that we have enough training plans of elites who've gone after both simultaneously,
Right.
and they do it well.
Yep, yep. You got to lean into the overspeed training as you age to access to keep the highest percentage possible of it. I think when you start to dissect the training, I ask myself when I was prioritizing shorter distances, even in my 20s, even my teens, really, it was really 2 speed sessions a week were at race pace or revolving around your 1500 or 5K. And right now, like, is one smack of speed work a week at 41 or 42 enough, or is this one of those things where it's like, Kirk, buddy, every Tuesday and Friday now you're ripping with purpose because it's going to take that sort of exposure to open those pathways.
Yeah.
I got to figure that piece out. I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that you're fortunate that you get 2 shots at it. You get before the marathon and after the marathon.
Right.
And before the marathon, you can go with, let's say, a multi-pace approach where you're doing threshold work twice per week with purpose. But there's a buy-in, a buyout, or in the middle where you're hitting 10 minutes worth of 5K pace or faster work. And you see what that does for you in spring. Race a few times, use the races to build a lot of that fitness, a few key sessions, but I think you can dose it twice each week, but they don't have to be the college full 5K workouts. They can be mixed in the dough of your marathon work.
Sure.
And then you run your marathon. After that, you build a little more specifically for the marathon, and then you get done with it, and then you have options. Am I going after a fall marathon, or am I going to do some more multi-pace training, or did that show me that I need to go real specific for 6 8 weeks here on a
Right.
5K? But I think I would serve 2 masters until the spring season was done, and then serve the marathon, and then go back.
To whichever one I choose to go back to.
Yeah, but
Right.
either way, I think you can keep a dose of it at least
100%.
always.
Yeah. Yeah. I just don't know how much I need to respond to. Once a week
I don't
almost
either.
doesn't quite feel like enough,
I
like
would say
to
it's not.
access it. Right. I can just feel it. Like it's still uncomfortable when I try to access it. I'm like, that's not, it doesn't flow as you would want it to. If you're going to race an entire 3.1 at that pacing for me, and when I start touching that pacing, I'm like, I'm reaching for it a little more than I would like right now.
Right.
Right.
And for
So,
everyone listening, what he's saying is it doesn't feel good or whatever. There's a difference between hurting and smoothly hurting.
mhm.
And it'll never get easy, but it'll get smooth. Like not reaching,
Or
not fighting for the pace. You're still going to be miserable at the pace, but you can focus on the misery, not on the act of having to get your stride to do the thing you want it to
right.
do.
Yeah, and if you can feel comfortable for 1,600 to 2,000 meters instead of feeling uncomfortable by 800 meters,
Yeah.
that then you have a whole different race ahead of you. And so, those are the things I'm thinking about. So, goal wise, I think we talked about it roughly. Marathon is the highlight point, increasing volume, but biding my time in doing so. And then, yeah, accessing some of the speed I'm going to need and signing up. Signing up. I don't like the word signing up. Committing to more races,
Yeah.
to racing more. So that's me. So now can we turn the spotlight onto you,
Yeah.
Bracken? All right. So talk to me. What are your now? I know there's a little more uncertainty with you, so
Yeah.
the audience has to be aware, and they know this. But you asked me, "What's my A races?" Or what are the highlight races? I know you're still tentative, but where do you want to share? Where's
Yeah.
your head at?
So all we can do with goal setting is believe where we are right now. And right now I'm healthy. So while there is uncertainty, I'm just going to push that aside and just say, I'm building from where my fitness is right now with my health intact and a clear road ahead of me that I get to follow. So while I don't have A races, I have my fitness and race goals are a lot more closely intertwined than yours are. And I want to be able to do 4 things this year.
Okay.
So my fitness goals are to be able to be fit enough to have confidence jumping into 4 distinct race types, knowing that I can work hard the entire time. Full stop.
What do you mean by four distinct race types?
So I'm going to say those. The
Okay.
first is that every year I have this, I want to dunk a basketball and run a mile. And 2 of the last 4 years, that mile has come down to one of the last 2 days on the calendar. And yet every year I start saying, well, I'm going to run that road mile and I'm going to probably jump in that Wisco mile at the end of June in West Dallas. It's awesome. It's just a night of miles and 5Ks on the track. And I have not run that Wisco mile since probably 2012,
20.
20.
No. Where are you hitting that mile in the summer? that you
That's a road mile. The Wisco mile's on a track.
Oh, you're talking about got it.
Maybe I did one in like 2013 or 14. Anyway, point being, it's been over a decade since I've run that thing, and I think about doing it every single year.
If I
And
look it
so
up, is it the Wisco Mile? I
the
wanna see the
Wisco
timing.
mile, yeah,
Okay.
you'll see a
Keep
pineapple
going.
logo. They give you a
Okay.
pineapple if you win.
Okay. I just wanna see the date to see if I can
It's
coerce
usually
maybe.
like a week or two after state track. So
Alright.
all the kids come back and get to have a chance because it's age graded. Everything is they'll run like 15 heats of the mile for every conceivable age group.
It's the weekend before grandma's, the June 14th.
Probably not ideal for you.
But I would really that'd be just so fun, but I didn't wanna distract, but I was like, "Maybe we could pull
Yeah.
something off here." It was one in, 358, uh,
Yeah, they have an elite mile as
Roland
well.
Hacker. Alright.
So, one of those 2 miles or both, Wisco Mile and the Summers 4th of July Mile, I wanna be fit enough to not just run it, but run sub 4:30. I wanna run in the 4:20s. I haven't in several years. I ran 4:32 2 years ago. Was it last I think just last July 4th I ran, so year and a half ago, I ran 4:32. I'd like to get into the 4:20s for the first time in my late 30s. I did it at, like, 34. I'd like to do it at 38.
Which would be a very impressive feat. There are not many people, folks, that enter the later stages of their 30s, whether you were a fantastic athlete in your history or not, that can run under 4:30 in the mile. It is a very, very, very select group.
So that's a goal number 1, is run sub 4:30 in the mile this year.
Why?
Because every single time I run a mile, I'm reminded that this is the distance I know best. This is the distance I pace intuitively the best. This is the one that I can handle that balance. I find the balance between my fitness and the race strategy. Like 9 times out of 10, I get it right. I ran the 800 more often in college, but I was more adept at the mile. It's the race that makes sense for my system. And so I get everything out of my fitness for the most part. So it's very indicative of where I am. But it's also the distance that's going to start to go next. The 800 meters already started to go. I used to be able to break 2 minutes anytime I wanted to. And the last time I ran one, I ran 2:03. And
Mhm.
so like the process has started. The
But you
miles
were
the
not
next
specifically training for it, and that is a very type of specific training that you were not
correct.
doing leading in, but nonetheless.
But all throughout OCR career, I could go run 159 off zero specific training, and I can't anymore. And
Yeah.
the mile is going to be that, but it doesn't matter. The 800 meter has no bearing on any fitness really for anything I ever could want to do in life. But the mile has enough stay power needed that it at least tells me something. And it's just it's a good like biomarker, not really bio, but like fitness marker for me. And I like it.
You're taking your suggestion from me, like, "Hey, Kirk, go work on some 5K speed, and it's only gonna bleed positively into the marathon." Really, your version would be, one deviation down. Go
Yeah.
get myself ready for the mile, and I do believe that will help bleed into longer races if
Yeah,
I get
and I
myself ready
don't
for that.
know if that's true for everyone, but we've talked on here before. My cadence has just dropped from the time I got hurt for the first time to now. The vast majority of my running is semi technical, easy trail running. That combined with gaining weight and getting older, my cadence has just dropped. And mile work is really going to help with that.
Bracken, I wish we were neighbors.
I know.
I really
We
wish
would
we could
balance each
do
other so well.
we would balance each other so well. You would make a fantastic positive influence as a training partner on me for your leaning into the shorter, stingier stuff, and I'd be a fantastic influence on you to come do my grindy stuff. We would make actually very good training partners. Makes me think like if you were training for that, how helpful it'd be if we went to the track together and over speed trained. It would just be so delightful. And thinking of going to my track with the wind blowing by
Yep.
myself and 30 degrees is just like that's when I wish I had a training group or you
Yeah.
next door. Mhm.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Same for you, I would
Yeah.
imagine. That type of training is tough on your own. I would rather be marathon training on my own than going and trying to rip the quick stuff on my own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We would work well together. Sometimes
Mhm.
people on paper don't work well together, and then in life they do, or vice versa. Like these would be great training partners, and it doesn't work. We work well when we work out together.
And we really do.
Egos don't get in the way.
Not at all, no, and all I want is the best for you, like, and vice versa, so
Yeah.
it's the egos are gone. So, okay, so you have the miles.
Yeah. So spring to the opposite end of the spectrum. All my brain does when I am on the treadmill or on the trails is dream about running ultras. It doesn't make any sense to me. I have no like discernible talent at the ultra, and yet I just want to. And it never matters to me whether I actually do one or not. Just daydreaming of them gets me through volume work and hill
Mhm.
work. But the option to do one does matter because if I'm not durable, I would never consider signing up for an ultra. And I haven't been real durable for a while. And so I want to be able to race an ultra this year. Now, for me, what that looks like is a technical, a not a broken running ultra.
A
If I'm
technical
ever going to be good at
fall
anything, that's what.
ultra.
Say that again.
Like a technical fall ultra, give yourself some time to get there, or even winter
Yeah,
travel south or something like
yeah,
that.
yeah. Something. It could be loop based. It could be technical. It could be up and down mountains. I don't care. It could be fell running. It could be anything. I mean, it could be the Tennessee Mile again. Anything that is broken rhythm running for a long time, someplace pretty, like, I just wanna be able to say yes to that. So that would be a goal number 2 is jump into an ultra with, like, only, like, 8 or 10 weeks prep, because that will tell me I have the fitness and durability that I can trust my body that nothing weird's gonna happen here. I can just commit 8 to 10 weeks to this ultra and go rip with confidence.
I love it, and, many listening be like, "Those don't line up at all." A 4 to 5-minute race and then
Yeah.
a 4 to 5-hour race, let's call it, or more, like,
Mhm.
how is that possible? But I think they oddly can feed each other, and if you can look at your season in phases, you could make that work. You did it. You ran a good mile and a good ultra in the same year a few years back, if I recall.
10 days apart.
Okay, 10 days apart. Mile came first, which I was to advise. Um,
Yeah.
so it's interesting question for you then with how
Yeah.
you have this ultra mindset. You don't know where it came from or why, but it's there, right?
I mean, I
Um,
know where it came from. It came from Spartan Race.
okay. Something about being free on the trails outdoors for a long time grinding is alluring in a
With
weird way.
uncertainty, without the dialed in staring at my pace or heart
100%.
rate metrics of a short race that there are known confines.
Yeah. Um, So when you're on your treadmill slogging away,
Yeah.
we watch YouTube, we pull up
Yep.
other things. Do you often, like for me, if I find any track race, it can be JV boys dual meet invite 2 mile, be like, I'm gonna click on that over the
Mhm.
well produced ultra video. So I'm like, I find myself clicking track races. If I can
Yeah.
find a pro race, I do. I love it. I've watched the Olympic trials and the middle and distance races so many times. I'm embarrassed to tell you before
Yeah.
clicking on that ultra video right now. Do you click on the ultra video right now, or what do you click
Yeah.
on?
Yeah. I get in stages for track work, and it's probably the fitter I get, the more I like that.
Mm.
But track races for me are perfect when I'm doing long interval reps. Like 5 to 15-minute reps. That's perfect for watching 1,500 through, I mean, even an 800 can fill a 5-minute rep if you watch the
Mhm.
walk up and the pre-race and then the replays after, but track races are fantastic for me for interval sessions.
Me too.
For grindy and easy stuff, I just click the ultra every time, and it's always a specific type. There there's so many times I'll be watching something, I'll be like, "Oh, no, that's not interesting to me." If it's a race, I'll watch it, but if it's just someone's review of the race or their own footage, there's just a type of terrain that calls to me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I love it. All right, so you have those are the two pillars of your year, the ones
yeah,
that seem to mean the most to you.
yeah,
Now I got a little bit more not nuanced, maybe subjective with like I want to run more mileage or I
yeah,
want to commit to more racing.
mhm.
Things like that that wouldn't be as specific as the race themselves. Do you have anything like that?
Well, I
Racing
do have
wise,
2
the fitness
specific
point
more.
we have
I
to
have
get
2
to.
more. I said I had 4 race types I want to complete this year and be able to do.
Oh, well, keep going.
The 3rd is kind of an obvious one. I've been talking about it for 3 years now. I need to run another High Rocks Pro race, uh, and that will have to happen this year. And then the 4th is adjacent to that is I had a lot of fun when I jumped into that Michigan Spartan race, and I wanna run another Spartan race or 2 or 3 this year.
Okay. So if you were to lay those out in the correct, is there a correct way to look at the year periodization wise?
My entire year is going to be how you're talking, where it's just gonna be build from week to week to week. Most of my pieces don't have to be periodized because I don't have to be sharp for anything this year.
Yeah, but I'm gonna argue, okay, we've talked on here that oddly enough, I think trying to train for a high rocks and running an ultra, they kind of work. It's a lot of
They do,
durability work. It's a lot of strength. What I don't think works is trying to peak for a mile and run a high rocks.
right,
I
and
don't
I'm not
think
gonna
those go
peak
very
for the
well.
mile.
Well, right, but what I'm saying is those in my eyes clash.
They do.
So I just like what goes where and what goes when is what I
So I'll explain my whole theory on how this year works based off of how I believe my fitness works. And that
Yep.
is since the mile is a good distance for me, and it seems to work well for me off of literally any style of training I'm doing, I run a fairly decent mile. Like my fastest posts, I've run 2 times in the low 420s, 420 and 422, and then a 425 since college. The 420 and the 422 came while training for Spartan race. The
You were
first
in your
one,
20s then though,
uh, yes, those were training for Spartan though,
right?
preparing for Killington with an eye on the series.
But you were
Eh,
almost a decade younger. So just to point,
correct.
you were a decade younger. So there's a difference there.
There is. But then at 33 or 34, I ran 425, and that was off preparing for my first 50K. So I've trained for track, I've trained for OCR, I've trained for the mountains, I've trained for ultra, and I run around the same time. Now, if I wanted to go much more from that time, I'd have to sharpen down and like, do some mile work. But I just want to get in that range, which means I don't have to do a lot of mile work so that it interferes with anything. It has to be more of skill work almost for that, at least to run one. If I want a PR, like in my post collegiate PR, if I wanted to try to break 420, we're having an entirely different conversation.
But it's only 9-second difference from
Just
429 to 419,
just
Bracken.
two
That's
and a half seconds
nothing.
per lap.
That's so much. That's such an eternity.
It's an
Uh,
entirely different
People,
stride.
you can't even comprehend. It sounds so close, and it's not the same as running from 7:30 to 7:20. When you get down
Yeah.
to there, it is. Talk about the needle threading. Okay, so if you run 4:29.99, happy as you could be.
Yeah. And what it's going to be is that if I run fast and can race hard the whole time, I'm going to be happy.
Okay,
But yeah, 420s at all, happy as can be. Uh,
4:30. Oh, what happens? Got to go back and hit it again.
I'll, if I had nothing else that day, then whatever, that's fine.
Okay.
It's more of what it shows and what it proves to me rather than what the time says. It's what it means more than what it says, if that makes sense. But
Yep.
so even though it's an A goal, it's going to be like the smallest percentage of my training. It's going to
Okay.
be how much can I get done with as little as possible of just getting comfortable with running miles stride twice per week.
You know what? Just listening to you, I feel like we're not far off actually in a strange way, even though we're
Yeah.
coming from very different places with our running in recent years because you've been surgerized and injured and things like that. But I mean, really, your goal is to put yourself on more start lines. Now, to do it, you have to stay healthy
Yeah.
in a different way than I've had to approach these things. But really, like we, you haven't raced in 2 years. How many races have you run in two count four?
4 max. Yeah.
So I think the win is showing up.
Yeah.
100%.
So the big difference between the two of us is that I have a fitness deficit to make up for, where you have sharpening to figure out. You have more
Let's
building
talk.
you can do, obviously, but like I want to get to the point where you're sitting at.
Yeah. Well, let's talk because this will be a more of an abbreviated episode compared to our normal Saturday episodes.
Mhm.
So I think we should move to the fitness piece, or do you want
Yeah.
to talk about the other stuff?
No, that's fine. So then high rocks to me, how I will do it up until I sign up for a race, let's call it that 8 weeks out or whatever, is going to be done with my ultra work. Because in my rehab in prepping for ultras, I found that the leg builder style workouts for me, these circuit based endurance workouts, are very, very good for me. And the fitness translates to ultras. And so I can do an almost non impact ultra workout every single week that has no bearing on my mileage, only my time on feet. And
Explain
so
that more. A non-weight bearing ultra workout.
So when I was prepping for the Tennessee Mile, I started doing these leg builders, and that was when I first started, where I couldn't really hit the ground much running. So I would do 10 lunges, 10 cal assault bike, 20, 20. 30, 30, 40, 40. I worked my way up to 100, 100, and then I added sandbags or a sandbag to my back. And then I work my way back up until I could do 100 all the way through the round of 100 with a 50-pound sandbag on my back and then the assault bike in between. That
Got
was
it.
the first leg builder workout I did. And then once I could handle running, then I started doing vertical gain in between.
Hmm.
10 lunges, 100 feet at 20 or 30%. 20
Minimal
lunges,
impact.
yeah. And then there's millions of versions of this now that I use both for ultras or for like off season or base hybrid training. But that type of work does serve both masters. You talked about high rocks and ultra kind of playing nicely together. For me, that's the playground that they want to be at the most, the leg builder style.
Hmm.
So if all I need to do is stress my hips, glutes, hamstrings, quads, get them really, really tired and able to fire like muscular endurance style training, fire under extreme duress, and then do aerobic cardio or high end aerobic in between. I might as well use high rocks movements for that. And then it's an ultra workout that's addressing that second half of the high rocks where you're doing burpee broad jumps and you're rowing and you're lunging and you're doing wall balls. All those things are great ways to fatigue me for an ultra while doing high rocks work. So just one of those per week is enough to start the groundwork for that and then just see where that goes from there. Pushing and pulling a sled is a really good way to fatigue you and then
Yep.
go run high end aerobic for 5 minutes in between. That style of workout.
Yep, that makes perfect sense. And then get 6 to 8 weeks out, maybe start throwing some more specific run, high rocks,
Yeah.
quality sessions, but just making sure that you have all the tools you need when you decide to commit to the exact training,
Yeah.
correct? Yeah.
And then I would go very specific for 8 weeks. But then the rest of the week is just simply the stuff that you do that I need to be doing, the grindy stuff, the staying power stuff, the threshold or slightly slower for 30, 40, 50 minutes of work a couple times per week. And if I
Yeah.
just do that and run whatever volume allows me to do that and let that rise throughout the year, I'd like to get up to 40 to 50 miles as my average for the year. If I could average 40 miles for the year, starting with 20 to 30, getting up to 50 to 60 by fall, that'd be
Mhm.
a hugely successful year.
I agree with you, and I think if I think back, because I had a 5-month stint off of I did not a step of running for 5 months. This was back in 2020. Um, I had what I would call I still ended up showing up to races eventually, right? After maybe 4 or 5 months back to running. Wasn't where I needed to be, but I really feel like that year I ended up staying relatively healthy. I was running 20-mile weeks a lot of that. So I wasn't able to run a lot of volume, but I was
Mhm.
able to do that with consistency and I raced. And I had some good races, but nothing. My fitness wasn't where it is now. And I feel like your year that you're outlining was pretty much I did a Spartan race here, then I ran some local stuff. I hit for the first time I hit these local trail races if you remember.
Mhm.
And it set me up to then like that following year once I got through that just cycle of just rate go to a high rocks even if it goes average, great. It's like it really put me in a good position for I hate to say 2026 already for you, but that's
It's
really how
fine.
you have to look at this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the year to finish way better than I started the year. And
Yeah.
I'm 37. I don't turn 38 until halfway through the year, which gives me 38 for half of next year. If I'm talking about you 3 years ago, there's a lot of room for improvement until you now that you
Yeah.
got in. But the years you can't waste.
No.
You have a lot of improvement between 38 and 41, but you don't have years to miss there. So that's kind of if I need to thread the needle, that's the needle to thread is build all this stuff great, but you can't miss much more training than you've missed.
Yeah. The irony there is you also can't rush it
Correct.
with injury history. So it's like a very delicate balance.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else like on the fitness front? We don't need to spend too much time on me, but I think it's worth talking about like general fitness. I need to lose weight, and you
Mhm.
probably do too.
Yeah.
I mean,
I got
as
a good
far
start
as
on it over the holidays.
with the flu,
Yeah.
I'm, I have been, I've talked vocally about eating a little more and being available, but at the same time, being 5'10" and nothing and weighing 173 pounds isn't. That's not really what I want my bio to look like if I think I'm going to run how fast I would like to run. Is it possible? Yes, but I think I have some room to eat a bit cleaner, right? I have some room to be more focused in those regards, and I think I could. access this much more easily. And I'm not going to call it free speed, but I can feel it when I'm doing incline work on the treadmill for sure.
Mhm.
And I know if I can feel it then, there's a percentage of that that is still being felt on flat ground. And I think if I'm serious about this, I think if I trim up 5 pounds, if that's 5 seconds a mile in the marathon, that's minutes. Okay. That matters. If that's 5 seconds a mile in the 5K, that's the difference between hitting my goal and not. And I think I'm at that point. And I know it's like still, you got to skirt around the subject, but I think it's one of the pieces I need to focus on fitness wise. Let's call it health wise,
Mhm.
that I haven't given any time or attention to in years.
Yeah.
And so I think that needs to be a focus of mine. And I'm not saying any in an unhealthy manner. What I'm saying is I'm at the point where like I don't need to be able to bench press 225. Can I let go of that? It's to
Yeah.
so part of my internal fitness rhetoric is revolved around that right now.
Well, and I disagree with you in that I don't think it needs to be skirted around. I think it
Say
needs
that
to be
again.
talked.
You cut out just a
Oh,
sec.
I don't agree with you in the sense that it needs to be skirted around. I don't believe that. I think
No,
it
I
needs to
don't
be
believe
talked
that
about
either, but I'm saying
directly.
most would most hold their breath when I say I need to lose weight. Somebody like, be
Correct.
careful, my friend or myself or the eating disorder path, which is very prevalent. You just got
It
to be
is.
careful with it.
It is, but I believe and I know you believe it too. I'm not speaking to you now, I'm speaking to people who are listening. I don't believe eating disorders come from talking about weight. I think eating disorders come from not clearly talking about weight.
Sure.
People hear something and run with it, or people skirt around it and plant the seed and then back away. And that once that seed's been planted, the eating disorder is going to grow and
Right.
it destroys so many running lives. But I think a healthy conversation around Kirk DeWindt has 5 extra pounds of muscle in his chest because he lifted like a bro for 15 years and it just sits there and does nothing for him. And if he didn't have such big muscular pecs, he'd be faster on the track. That is a legitimate statement to make.
I'm getting a little soft too, so I gotta trim that up a little bit too. But yes, that soft for me.
Okay.
So yes. So what about you? Anything else?
Honestly, I'm not. It's one of those like if you have to ask, you can't afford it thing yet. I am not to a place where I'm checking enough boxes to even know what to focus on yet. If I can check the daily running, daily workout, clicking off some sustainable quality sessions in 3 or 4 months, I may have a little clarity on, all right, now what's my body looking like? Now, where am I lacking in certain areas? But if I can focus on 5 to 7 days per week on running a crisp, clean stride, hitting the ground well, moving to inclines whenever I need to for safety measures, lift upper body once or twice a week, get my leg builder plus another lower body lift, and just make sure that I'm not setting myself up to realize, oh, you know what I didn't address and now is injured? As long as I'm not leaving holes in this and I just check the days off, that is all I need to worry about right now.
I
Our
agree.
conversation at the quarter hopefully looks a lot different. Hopefully there's some specifics I can start focusing on. But right now, I'm excited by the process and the lack of specifics.
Hmm. I get that. Do you feel like just on the conversation where I say, I think my performance would benefit from being slightly lighter. Do you feel like I need to get stronger because I'm not high rock strong, or I
Oh
would
yeah.
benefit from blank? Are there any of those things for you right now?
Yeah,
With
I
it?
feel like I'm missing usefulness in every area of my body right now. If I were to go do a high rocks right now, my muscular strength, my muscular endurance, but my just flat out power would be found lacking.
Hmm.
Like yesterday, I went for a 10-mile out and back run. And on the way back, my hamstring insertions started really fatiguing. I didn't have enough usefulness right there to run really well the whole way back, slightly uphill the whole way back, slightly.
Mm-hmm.
10 miles is long for me. And it was long enough to expose. Yeah, you're missing your function and your go in all muscle groups right now. But again, it's global. It's like pick
Right.
a body part, it needs to get better.
It's not like my back squat needs to get better because it sucks right now, or you're not worried about that sort of like traditional power output stuff.
No, right now it's like a tornado came through and I would be worried about like, "Oh, did the crown molding get smudged?"
Got it.
No,
Okay.
no, you
So,
gotta you gotta fix your house first, and
right.
then
Got
we'll
it.
worry
Yeah.
about painting the corners and the cracks.
All right. And then the third in your very detailed notes app on your phone, the third thing was really the plan, right? Or the
Yeah.
how to get there, so to speak. I will start this. I got to go to a doctor's appointment with my wife here, and so I'll probably have to leave in like 7 minutes. But um, for me, the plan is to literally rinse and repeat the same crap I've been doing for the last 2 years. To be honest with you, and I don't mean to like keep it too general, with layering in the correct volume at certain times and more focus on the speed work at certain times. But largely I'm going to be doing some type of threshold session every single week still. I don't think I'm going to let that go until maybe it needs to within maybe I do a 5K racing window of 6 weeks and I hammer, right?
Yep.
But I think I'm not changing a whole lot. You go comb through my Strava, it's going to be different. It's going to be versions of the same stuff you're seeing pop up now. A lot of volume and intervals. I'm usually doing anywhere from 6 to 10 miles of interval work these days in my quality sessions. And I'm going to keep doing that. And I'm going to, as we talked about, I'm going to draw out my long runs when it makes sense, as long as I stay healthy, and layer in a little more speed work, maybe second stimulus speed work, or even just mechanical work, treadmill sprints at 15%, some things that just force me to create power and open it up without compromising the rest of my week's training. But other than that, I wish I had like a cool, fun answer, but I don't.
Well, you
That's
gave
my
one
plan.
specific answer, which is you don't plan on signing up for or building a or having someone write like a traditional marathon training plan for you, like a 20-week build.
No, I do not.
Okay.
Correct. Yeah, I'm going to do largely what I've been doing all the way through March with some deviations depending on what races I find.
Mhm.
But yes, that's it. Just try to stay healthy, and if I can stay healthy and continue putting time on feet, then I think things will have a chance of falling in line. Goal for the marathon is sub 2:30, and I think if I thread the needle, I think I could run maybe 5:40 pace. Uh, 5:39 would be a dream, but that is down the road. That would put me in the 227 range, which it took to win Grandma's marathon as a masters athlete last year. 227 and change, I
Mhm.
think, won it for 40 plussers. So those are paces I'm going to have to get comfortable with for extended periods of time. So I'm going to be doing a bit of that as well, I guess, if we're talking a little more detail
Okay.
in there. And then when it gets down to it, a lot of 440 to 448 pace on the track, but trying to draw out the ability to hold that as two. That's going to be probably if we're going to get the ingredients a little more specific. So that's everything for me. If unless there's more to dive into.
I think for now that's a good place to start.
Yeah.
I can't afford to be so specific because my fitness will be changing on a weekly basis, hopefully. But the blueprint for me is that I react very quickly and well to speed work. So just speed dosage twice per week. And that can be as simple as like 6 by 200 at 800 to mile pace.
When would you plug something like that in?
What that pairs with for me is one of the biggest. This sounds like the least sexy thing ever, but when I am looking to build fitness and I'm not already very fit, one of like the single run that builds the most running economy and fitness for me is the midweek long run at like 60 to 75 minute effort, 80 minutes of effort at an easy building into a moderate pace just really does a lot for me. So that would happen just right before that run.
Okay. Oh, before the run.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I would
Okay.
do it before. I'd do like a mini warm up, do like 6 by 200, and then just head right off the track onto the trail and run for an hour to 70 minutes.
How hard would you work in those 200s? Like what kind of pace are we looking to access there?
In between 800-meter pace and mile pace, probably starting at mile pace and working down.
Okay. So pretty quick though. Pretty
Pretty
quick
quick,
stuff.
but only six of them, 4 to 6.
Plenty of rest. Just
Yep.
working the efficiency
Might even
piece.
be 150s early on.
Okay. Cool. I like it. That's something I should consider, to be honest with you.
Yeah. It
I think it
costs
is.
nothing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Costs almost nothing.
I could do it on a midweek long run day. I just started at the track or a 200-meter stretch of road right in front of my house.
Yeah.
After a warm up, hit that, and then go on and put another 60 minutes on feet, and that would be great. That's good. It's good to hear that. We have to talk about that maybe offline. See what we want to do there.
My favorite my favorite trail to run my easy stuff on has a track at the head of it. That's
Sweet.
where I park. I can't It just stares me in the face. I can't avoid it anymore. And then the opposite would be after one of my threshold or leg builders, just tacking on some 200s at the end.
Sure.
So
Perfect.
that's where it starts with adding some speed dosages, a minimum of one leg builder style workout per week, sometimes two. Yeah, I mean, you'll be seeing this on Strava. If it's not on there, I'm not doing it. You'll know. I'm not going to hide anything from Strava. Everything's going to be on there. This Koros connects to my phone way easier than I want it to. Stuff just pops up, and Strava's like, "Hey, congrats on the new activity." I'm like, "Well, I didn't want that up there, you jerk," but it's on there. So you should be seeing a leg builder every single week for the foreseeable future. A medium longish effort, like yesterday, was 10 miles on grass.
Oh, you hit
And
10 miles on grass.
yeah, yeah, there's a
Good.
there's a bike path that they semi maintain the grass on the side. They'll mow it like 2 or 3 times a year. And I like running through there.
Hmm.
It's undulating, it makes my legs work, and it's really cushioned. So,
So you're hitting 10 miles right now on grass. That's
well, that was
fantastic. I
my
think
first time doing it.
well, right, but of course, but that is a huge win. I didn't know we were out doing that. So that's fantastic. And really it's
Start the year strong.
for you and it's just built layering in a little bit more volume slowly but surely. It's funny, so talk about starting the year strong. So I just did a 10-mile recovery-ish midweek long run. Actually, I let my heart rate drift just a little today, but out here before we recorded, it's Thursday. It's the middle of the day ish. I saw 5 people out running bundled up. It's like 12 degrees out with a breeze. And I was like,
Mm,
I've never seen anybody running. Rarely out here. I'm like, was it coincidence or are these resolutioners getting it right now? Because they were bundled up. There was a woman running in a full snowmobile suit. I could tell
nice.
she hadn't been running much. And was out for a run. She had the right shoes on. Anyways, I just thought it was amazing. So some people are getting after it in the
I
new
love it.
year, new them. Yeah.
And then the final piece is just the sub threshold work. At threshold or slightly below, you're going to see a lot of 3 and 5 minute reps, probably on the treadmill. Early on, I'm going to keep my midweek long run outside. I'm going to keep my speed sprinkles outside, and everything else is going to be easy trail or incline treadmill, somewhere between 6 and 20%. I'm just going to be living on there for a while. And then the more you see quality work happening outdoor, the more you know that I'm feeling good.
Do you have open tracks by you right now? Because my track is open, as in no snow.
Yeah, we do.
Let's hope we get lucky again and get some track time this winter. Because last winter was a blessing, and now here we are, January 1, and we still have some open tracks. It's unbelievable. I mean,
I wish you had the Pettit Center, Kirk. We have an open track year round.
that's true. And hey, guys, when you're thinking about goal setting for the year and designing your year, the expectation that it's going to be one big, long, glorious build to some big fall A race is tomfoolery. It's okay to have a couple of peaks in there with a couple of down periods as well. And I know I've preached this before, but I think you should kind of look at 2 pillars to your year. Maybe pick something if you've been healthy and in a good cycle, a springish early summer peak, and then a fallish early winter peak with some rests after your big peak races. And kind of 2 separate builds goes a lot longer to staying available, nailing your races. And I don't know. For me, I just think like if you're training with purpose, taking those down times is as important as the running itself. So just think about your year that way. I try to break it up into 2 sort of pushes. Maybe that's not how everybody looks at it, but I do find people get a little further if they plan on peaks and breaks twice a year. So think
Yeah.
about that too. If you're trying to figure out what should go where.
When in doubt, peak right before the worst season of your year. If it's hot and humid, make that your downtime.
Yeah. What else do you want to add to this?
This is one of those where I said I want to do certain things like OCR races and ultra races, and they must be broken running and technical because I'm not a rhythm runner and I only want to go to races where I can be successful. So I want your feedback. What ultra and OCR races do I need to hit? Like, what would check the box for me? I don't ever want to be running flat with a beautiful long stride for longer than 5 minutes at a time. That's there's your confines. The more technical, the better. I do like vert, so give me some ideas. I have a bucket list of races, um, ultra wise and OCR on my list, and maybe I'll read those out next time. But for now, we don't have time today. But
You should look in. I know you're asking the audience, I believe, not me, but You should really if you want technical and you want your jam, you should right now is the window to get in the lottery for the Superior Spring Fall race and
Yeah.
the Superior Hiking Trail. It happens usually mid to late September, uh, and it would fit the bill.
Okay. So there's only one caveat to all of this. One caveat, and that is that Braden's race schedule comes out sometime in February, his season. So I can't commit to a race until probably, let's say, 6 weeks from now. I'll know. But
Okay.
start pouring in the suggestions. Superior is a good idea.
It would suit you. I know I've run with you before. I've run the trail. It would very much suit your skill set. 100%. It's
Yeah, I
awesome.
like September.
So, something to think about.
Pencil it in. All
Yeah,
right.
well, you have to get yourself in the lottery right away. That's the problem.
Okay.
It's open for 2 weeks and it shuts at like January 15th or something. So, anyways, enough.
All right. See you next Tuesday.
Bye guys.